So, Russell Westbrook being on the Lakers has to be one of the biggest stories going into the 2021-22 NBA season. And with the trade that garnered so much attention and such a difference in opinions, in this video I'm going to be going over what I think the best and worst case scenarios are for Westbrook and the Lakers in the following season. Let's start with the best case. So, I think to start, Russ is the same player as he was towards the back end of last season, getting triple doubles consistently, being healthy, that sort of thing. I think that's the first thing because Westbrook did have a slow start with the Wizards, so I think him being on and being himself is the first thing. He locks in defensively, which is something the Lakers need from him. You know, he's focused on that and he's not making mistakes. He's focusing on and off ball and is, maybe their best perimeter defender or at least guard defender. He limits his 3-point attempts. He's not going crazy with the shooting, and he shoots a small number, and when he does shoot, he shoots a decent percentage. I think best case is like 35-36%. Maybe he only takes corner threes or just limiting them in general because they're not very efficient. He attacks when defenses are sagging off him instead of settling for jumpers like the threes. He instead tries to get to the rim, and if teams are sagging off him and giving him space, he can use that as a runway, and we know how good he is when he gets downhill. So he's doing that, and he's constantly in attack mode and not settling for bad shots. He provides rim pressure, which I think he will, and playmaking while not totally dominating the ball. So, he's able to get to the rim and grab and go in transition. He's able to run pick and roll. He's able to attack off of attack closeouts, off kickouts. And he's able to create and play make for other players, especially when LeBron is on the bench. And even when LeBron is on the floor, he's able to create for LeBron and for the other Lakers. I think that's something that could happen. But he's not totally ball dominant. He's willing to let LeBron and let AD do his thing. And when he's off ball, he's doing things like cutting and setting screens and just being a player who makes himself useful without being a threat from three. So I think that's probably the best case scenario where he's engaged 100% of the time and doing stuff off ball like screen setting and cutting. He also helps the Lakers rebound. That's especially important if they play Anthony Davis at the 5. He gives them someone else who can grab over 10 rebounds a game, which is pretty crazy for a 6'3" guard. He gives them lots of energy and lets LeBron rest more in the regular season. So he's carrying a bigger load offensively in terms of the playmaking and the rim pressure. Just like a Tuesday night in February against, like, let's say the Orlando Magic, like he's there attacking the rim, screaming after he dunks and waking the team up, and just giving them energy throughout the regular season. And being the guy who does that and can carry a bigger load and let LeBron rest up in the regular season because he's going into his 20th year, 19th probably, but you don't want LeBron doing everything like he did last year because he can get hurt. So Russ is able to take some of that burden. He gets out of the way in crunch time too. He's not making bad decisions. He's letting LeBron and Anthony Davis run pick and roll while maybe he's spotting up, or maybe he's cutting, or maybe he's not even on the floor if they want to get more shooting. He's not making stupid decisions in crunch time. He's making the right pass, making himself useful, and not doing anything stupid on both ends of the court, that is. And then the Lakers stay healthy. They have no injuries. Anthony Davis plays the 5, and they have a good balance with shooting and defense, and then obviously great playmaking, and they can go on to win it all. So I think that's probably the best case scenario. Russ is still himself with how he attacks the rim and play makes, but he adjusts a little bit in that, he does a bit more off ball. He focuses more on defense. And now if we talk about the worst case scenario, Russell Westbrook looks older and he starts the season slow like he did last year and never recovers. whether it's injuries or just losing a little bit athletically. He's just not the same, and he can't really do what he did before. He doesn't focus defensively and is a liability. He takes too many unnecessary risks on ball. He falls asleep off ball, and he's someone that defenses can go attack, and he costs the Lakers points on that end. He shoots a low percentage and takes a lot of bad threes. He's just the bad ones, like in transition and when he's not wide open, contested off isolations. He's being too passive, and he's shooting threes. He isn't the same athletically, so he struggles to get to the rim and settles for unnecessary and inefficient mid-range jumpers. We've seen it before, the Russ mid-range show. At this point, with LeBron and AD also on the team, it just isn't the best option, and he can't get to the rim, so he's shooting a lot of those, and it just isn't working for the Lakers. He totally dominates the ball, and LeBron and AD are just ineffective standing around off ball while it's the Westbrook show, which I think is fine, in stretches, mainly when LeBron and AD aren't on the floor, but he just dominates the ball too much and doesn't let LeBron and AD do their thing. The Lakers have to ride LeBron throughout the regular season because Russ isn't doing enough, or the fit just isn't right, and LeBron needs to take over and puts a lot of minutes and miles on his body. And Russ makes bad decisions in crunch time, whether it's forcing an unnecessary pass, double teaming for no reason defensively. He just makes lapses in judgments and bad decisions in crunch time. And the Lakers get hurt. They don't have enough shooting. Between Russ not being a great shooter, LeBron and AD maybe not shooting as well as they usually do, and just maybe they have to play another center alongside AD, and they just don't have enough shooting out there. And also the defense isn't good enough between Russ and LeBron aging, and having to maybe put out guys like Carmelo Anthony and Wayne Ellington. That could be a possibility, and they lose in the playoffs. So yeah, that's probably the worst case scenario. So if I think of what I think is going to happen, I think it's going to be a little bit of the two, but I say I'm leaning more towards best case scenario. I think Russ will be able to provide rebounding, playmaking, and rim pressure. I think he'll be willing to go athletically. I think he won't dominate the ball. I think he'll let LeBron do his thing, or more likely LeBron will say, I'm doing my thing, and he'll just have to spot up. I don't really see him buying in that much defensively cutting and screen setting. I think we could see him do a little bit, but I think he probably won't do as much as we want, which could be a little bit frustrating. But I think he will help when LeBron is not on the court, and to save LeBron's legs just with his energy and all that. And yeah, overall, I think he will settle for some bad jumpers, and he'll make a few bad mistakes in crunch time, but overall the ball will be in LeBron's hands, so he won't really have the opportunity. So that's sort of what I see happening, a bit of a mix between the two, but I think I'm leaning a bit more positive, certainly in terms of resting LeBron and being able to take over playmaking and rim pressure wise. And then I think it's impossible to predict health, but I think the Lakers have a very good chance to make the finals, because if you look at the West, they're sort of, I think, the clear favorites between Clippers and Nuggets, both having Kawhi and Jamal Murray out. And then, Suns, Jazz, Mavs, maybe Blazers, Warriors. I just see the Lakers being the favorites out of that bunch. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Russ and the Lakers. It's certainly weird to think that Russ is on the Lakers, have to remind myself like almost every day. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm excited to see what happens. But anyways, thanks for watching this video, guys. Leave a like, subscribe to this channel for more NBA content, and I'll see you guys next time.